Hey guys, good morning. It's Thursday, the 7th of April 2016. Okay, so here is my second video, as promised. In this video I'm going to talk about the results of my MRI scan. But before I do, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that viewed my first video and hopefully found it informative and useful. Right, okay, so where are we? It was probably around about, no it was September 2012, because I had not long turned 40, and my wife and I, we just returned from a couple of days away at the coast, and I'm struggling to remember the exact details, to be honest, but I remember whilst we were away I was like wobbling all over the place, bumping into things, walking as if I was a bit drunk, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, we got home and I must have had like a letter or something inviting us back to the hospital to see the neurologist, with the results of my MRI scan, which I talked about in my previous video. Okay, so we trots off to the hospital on whatever particular date it was. It must have been around about 15th or 16th September 2012. And we had a chat with him. He'd got my scans, MRI scans, and he pointed out that in the cervical area, cervical is your neck, you've got like lumbar, thoracic and cervical. Lumbar is the bottom of your spine, thoracic is the midsection, cervical is the sort of neck area. He says there was like some light, I don't know what they call it, some lighting in the areas, lit up areas on the spine. But the main problem was he could see a disc bulge or a disc protrusion at L4, L5, pushing on, so I've got some notes, pushing on the S1 nerve root. And he thought, and so did I, he thought, you know, this could be the problem. This could be what's causing all the problems, all the strange sensations in my legs and my feet and stuff. Don't know about hands, but because, well, it's the cervical area that deals with hands and arms and things, I believe. So this was quite interesting. Okay, so the best course of action here was he referred me over to spinal, you know, the spinal surgery. So within a few days I had an appointment to go to spinal outpatients, well, I don't know, spinal department, and I saw this this amazing doctor. He was like, really knew his stuff, and at the time I didn't actually realise he was the spinal surgeon, so maybe I was just being a bit sort of naive. He looked at my MRI scans and I distinctly remember him saying to me, you've got, he said 3 problems, I can't remember the third, but he says you've got 3 problems. One of them he could fix really easy, and that's the disc compression, basically the disc pushing on the nerve. He says, don't worry about that, I can fix that, but you've got another big problem. But I asked him, I said, well, okay, what is the other problem, what is it? And he was very, he didn't really want to tell me. It's almost as if like that was the job of the neurologist to tell me. And I says, well, whereabouts on the scan? He says, your problems are all up here, this is where your problems are. And he was pointing to an area on the scan. And I tried to get him to explain, well, you know, I'm not a trained medical person, I can't read these scans. And I said, well, what can you see on the scan that's like, you know, my main problem, you know? And he pointed, and from what I understood, it was the areas on my scan which were lit up, the MRI scan, areas that were actually lit up on the scan. And I now understand that to be lesions and scarring. And obviously with his trained medical mind, he was actually, he's a spinal surgeon. He's not daft. He could see that that is a big issue, and he could fix the disc problem. His exact words were, "The disc problem is the least of your issues, least of your problems," he said to me. And I'll never forget his words, because it just, made us wonder. So anyway, apparently the disc bulge wasn't too great, and he said if I didn't have it done, obviously I was very scared about having spinal surgery. He says if I don't have it done, I could end up in a wheelchair, because the disc bulge was pushing. It was quite a bad one. It was pushing on the cordia equina nerve, which is down at L4, L5 somewhere, and apparently that controls all the bladder and bowel functionality. So, no brainer. In less than, I'm pretty sure it was less than a week, or at least 6-7 days or something like that, I was scheduled in, on the 23rd of September, I was scheduled in for spinal surgery for a disc decompression. Unbelievable, the turn of events. I have a little bit of a joke with people. It said, I turned 40 in 2012, and I said to people, I turned 40 and everything went wrong, everything broke, basically, Well, you got to try and keep smiling, haven't you? So. Okay, so first disc decompression. I have never been so scared in my life. Never had an operation in hospital before, ever. So I had the first disc decompression. Pretty sure it's the 23rd of September 2012. Surgery went well, really quick. I was in on the 23rd, out on the 24th. When I came round after the surgery, I was kind of hoping, there was something in me, I was kind of hoping that the numbness and the tingling and the burning and all the weird nerve pain in my legs, the tightness, I was kind of hoping that that would have all subsided, or even better, even gone. But I remember saying to my other half, absolutely no change whatsoever, not a thing. In fact, I think I was in more pain, more discomfort, nerve pain, tightness in my legs than I was before the operation, because obviously, well, any kind of operation on your body disturbs things, I suppose. But I was in more pain. Okay, so we got home, and my legs, especially my thighs, I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was just rubbing my legs all the time. Severe burning, nerve pain, my thighs, my feet. I just didn't know what to do with myself. I distinctly remember just lying on the settee, rubbing my legs, close to tears, to be honest, because I just didn't know what to do with myself. Okay, so a little bit of time passes, and I goes back for another MRI scan. Oh yeah, I'm getting used to them now. And on my second MRI scan, unfortunately for me, showed that the disc bulge had reoccurred, and I'd got to go in for surgery again, this time in December. So September, October, November, December, 3 months later, I was back in hospital having the second revision decompression on my back. Couldn't really believe what was happening, to be honest. Anyway, this decompression didn't go so well. After the surgery, well, during the surgery, apparently there was a complication, and I had what's called a dural tear. And that is, a lot of people think, well, I suppose it could be, a lot of people think is that's where the surgeon nicks the sac, I don't know too much about this, but I understand that the cerebral spinal fluid, CSF, it bathes the brain and the spinal cord, and the sac, sometimes the sac is nicked with the scalpel, and you get a spinal fluid leak, which I understand to be like what's called a dural tear. But I don't think that's what happened in this case, because what can happen, I've researched it, is when they're actually drawing out part of the disc that's bulged, the disc is like sticking to things, and you know, and as they're drawing it out, it's sticking to things and pulling on things and stuff like that, and that's how you know, you can get a dural tear. So got back to the bed thinking, great, you know, I can go home the next day. No, complete bed rest in hospital for a week. Couldn't stand up, because a dural tear, if you've got a cerebral spinal fluid leak, basically you have headaches from hell. And I did kind of experience severe headache when I was stood up, so you have to stay laid down all the time. Okay, so the disc bulges, the disc bulge over the course of the 2 surgeries was kind of shrouding my MS symptoms, because the hospital just thought, it's probably the disc bulge pushing on the nerves, causing all the symptoms in his legs. And to be honest, I was kind of hoping that's what the problem was as well, and they could fix me. Unfortunately not. Even after the second operation, there was absolutely no change in symptoms in my legs. I suffer with my legs the most. And they were just burning and numb, and my feet were numb, and I just, you know, my feet were red. I just can't describe. The pain was horrendous. And but to anybody looking at me, I look absolutely fine, look well, look healthy, but they're not feeling what I'm feeling, if you know what I mean. So anyway, about a week after the second operation, I was quite lucky actually, because it was close. I think I came home on something like the 23rd or 24th of December. So I was nearly in over Christmas. So I got home, and it was just rest basically. So like I was saying, the disc bulge shrouded the symptoms of the MS. So what was going to happen next was I was to return to neurology, and basically saying, hasn't made any change whatsoever to my symptoms. And that's going to be in my next video. Because leading up to my MS diagnosis, which was in May 2013, remember this was the back end of 2012, there's an interesting event occurs in February 2013, and that helps. It helps with the diagnosis, and that is something I'm going to talk about in my next video, called Uthoff's phenomenon. Now I don't think I've got a spelling, it's a really weird spelling. It's something like UHTOFFES phenomenon, Uthoff's phenomenon, or Uthoff's phenomenon. And that played a considerable part in my diagnosis. So I'm going to try and keep these videos not quite so long, and make a few more of them instead. Okay, well, I hope you find this video interesting. I would really appreciate it if you do perhaps give me a like or a thumbs up, and maybe subscribe to my channel. This is only the second video in the series, I intend to make several more leading up to the present day. Okay, cheers for now. Bye bye.